So you go on, and that's the RMR sort of phase of it, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was supported by a lot of the legal research that had been done. That
it would have never happened without Mr. Lorman, his work, his information. Quite frankly, your city attorney at the time, Bart, was very responsive, very nice, and this might even get him in trouble because if I had a question, I could call and ask him. I'm sorry, Bart, but you know what? It was the right thing to do for Chula Vista.
Okay. Okay, and so, I really appreciate the opportunity to ask you questions. So at some point, the conversation went, and I suppose it was right after RMR was removed, the conversation started turning to this idea of having the city step in, remove the. Why don't you explain it? Tell us what this idea came. How did that come to you, and how did that happen?
Let me tell you, under old leadership at the port and old chairmanship of the port, I thought the city of Chula Vista was a better agency to take advantage of this, I thought, great opportunity. And I think anytime you have a free option that you can walk away from and someone will pay all your cost, it's in your best interest to take that option. Mm-hmm. Now, I understand Mr. Watry and others disagree with me, but that's okay. And you know what? That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I think he's wrong, but he thinks I'm wrong. So, let the citizens decide. If you have a free option and there's no risk and have a chance of making several tens of millions of dollars, should you take the free option and check it out and do your due diligence and then make your decision to walk or to proceed? I thought Chula Vista was a better one. But let me go back for a second. When I did the power plant deal, I called Mayor Horton. I said, Mayor, I've now negotiated a deal. The city can own the power plant and all the land, nearly 200 acres. Or the port can. Let's discuss who I should do the deal with. I was chairman of the port at the time. We argued back and forth on, is Chula Vista the better steward or is the port the better steward? And finally I had to make a decision, and I decided I thought the port was the better steward of that land and had the financial muscle later on to develop the property and put in the infrastructure it needed. At times I've regretted that I thought maybe I made that wrong decision and I should have done the deal with the city of Chula Vista. But in the same way, I had to make a decision on, is the port the right person or is the city of Chula Vista the right person to offer up this free option to? I thought, albeit the council has their disagreements, that the city council was much better behaved, had much more vested interest in doing what I wanted to see done, and that was the power plant down, because that's been my dream, why I got involved with this thing 12, 13 years ago and spilled so much of my own personal blood on this plant. Unfortunately, doing what I thought was bringing a interesting opportunity to the city. Some of you up there and some of you out there have done nothing but behind my back kick me and call me names. But as the city manager said tonight, all along, David Malcolm had said, without an insurance policy, without a bonded bid, you should never do this deal. This was a no-risk deal. Always meant to be. Never anything different than that. And it's really been unfortunate that the thing is spun out of control. I don't know who's to blame or why. When you told me the other day that you hadn't been kept informed, well, I'm sorry, that's not my job. I volunteered for the little thing and then dropped out. I read in the paper today, I think it was, that I'm negotiating something. No one's talking. Mr. Sandoval and I haven't talked for I don't know how long. Well, I'm doing nothing. I don't want to do it. I want to be left alone. I live in San Diego now. Leave me alone. I came down here because you asked me to come down here, and I respect your office, Mr. Ramirez. And after 10 years of serving here, I felt I owed it to you to come down here, even though you did tell me to be here at 4:30, and I couldn't come up here until like 8:30.
Yeah.
Your timing's a little wrong.
You can never tell how long these discussions are going to go, but yeah. Okay, well, let me ask you another question. With regard to the demolition and demolition now, what do you think about that? And what are the obstacles to that?
Well, I read, it's really interesting, demolition. If you ask the gentleman that was just up here, the councilman,
yeah, right there.
He'll tell you, hey, for me to build a computer, it's really complicated. Dell, I pick up the phone, and they do it really easy. People who tear down power plants, it's pretty easy. They do it all the time. People who rehab historical buildings, for me, it's very difficult. I don't understand all those things,
right,
but other people do it. So Duke shared with me, not Duke, Dynergy shared with me their bids. I knew what it cost to tear down that plant and where we could get a bonded bid. And the firm that gave them the low bid had already done 4 of them for it. 4 of them. Already done. Bonding, a bondable company. And I knew what those bids were. And I shared those numbers with the city manager and city attorney.
So an relatively easy thing for somebody who's experienced to do. What do you think would be the...
Wait, I can't do your job. You can't do my job. I mean, when you do that for a living, it's not difficult. You can make up that, this thing's horrible. It's not for people with that expertise.
Sure. So what are the obstacles? What can you imagine to be an obstacle in doing this demolition? It's easy enough.
The demolition...
Money's there. The money's been raised.
The demolition isn't... The issue to me, and the scary part of the deal, has always been, remember, Dynergy's only obligation is any new contamination, right? The contamination of the soils and the water after they took over in 1999. Well, we didn't have PCBs after 1999 in land. So what always worried me was the water. So when I called the Port of San Diego to ask for the water report under the old regime, I end up in their staff report that says Malcolm called for the studies. And guess what they told me? There were none. And when the Voice of San Diego called them, and they said there weren't any. Then when SDG&E a week or two ago says, Port, you aren't telling the truth. There is reports out there. They said, oh yeah, there are. And Mr. Powell's quoted as saying, well, we don't know where they're at or what they say. So now they have released them to the public, those reports. But if we would have had those reports, Mr. Sandoval, back in November, this would have been a much easier discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, either deliberately they lied, or I have no idea why they did what they did. But I can tell you, the new leadership and what is happening lately, it is night and day. The port is working now with, I believe, the city's best interests at heart of finally wanting to get the power plant down. I could not say that before.
Okay.